All right, guys, welcome to Onelife Podcast. Here with Ryan from Blazin Paddles.
Yep.
Thank you so much for coming.
Of course, my pleasure.
Ryan and I have known each other for, 12 years now?
Yeah, over a decade for sure.
Yeah, I've been in the States for 12 years, and I met the first year I was here.
Yeah, you were my next door neighbor when we were living just down the street, right?
Yeah, and back then you're doing like some acting, some modeling. It's funny how things change, right?
And you were a dancer?
Yeah, I was in Thunder Down Under.
Yeah.
Did you ever think that you would be working for yourself? Did you think you're an entrepreneur type spirit?
I mean, as a kid, I played a lot of sports, and I feel like that kind of drive and push really makes you want to be successful. And I had a tough time, even when I knew you, following instructions and taking order. And I can do it, and it's possible. But after a certain amount of time, I really want to be able to kind of do my own thing and move on. Oh, no,
you're good.
Kind of do my own thing and I don't know, kind of beat to my own drum, like the cliche saying is. But yeah, I mean, when we knew each other, I was in a completely different time of my life. I went through maybe 4 or 5 stages before I kind of truly figured out what I wanted to do, and it kind of just happened by chance. And from there, we've built in the last 7 years a very successful company.
It's crazy how you got to go through that trials and tribulations and those different stresses and to become the person you are today.
Of course.
Because I mean, I was dancing on stage in Vegas, but I get what you mean about not fitting into really a job and always questioning it and always trying to like take charge. And also too, like the fitness, the exercise, it's all that mindset, right? Like what is business? Business is mindset.
It's passion. I mean, it's 100% passion. You cannot be successful in an industry like entrepreneurship or business without having a passion for what you do and really care. I mean, it's the one thing that I want to say I miss, but I don't, is being able to clock out with my brain at the end of the day, because I can't, no matter what. I've learned and hired people around me to help me with being able to turn my brain off, but at the end of the day, I own this company. It's my child, and I can't ever stop thinking about it. It's always on my mind. I have upwards of 30 employees now that depend on me, and I have to make sure that payroll goes out and that we're becoming a better company year over year, so that we can not only build for me but build for my employees as well.
And you're probably constantly putting out fires.
Constantly. Yesterday I had a bus go down on the strip, and so
it broke down.
Popped a tire in the construction right outside Mandalay Bay. A brand new bus
full of customers
on the way to pick up customers. I mean, that's a daily thing for us. We have 9 vehicles now. We can pick up upwards of 100 people at one time in our Sprinter van. But I have to think on my feet and just pick up another bus and start calling our office, making sure that we're calling the customers to make sure that the fire's put out in time to be able to handle it.
I got so many questions to ask you.
Yeah.
Let's start with what is Blazin Paddles?
So Blazin Paddles, we're an ecotourism company, mainly focusing in guided kayak tours. We started in 2016, family operated. Me and my father started this company, and my mother as well. In 2016, we do mostly guided. We've just ventured into unguided, but I'll kind of go more into detail. But we're on the Colorado River, which is the Hoover Dam to Willow Beach. It's a 12-mile stretch of what's called the Black Canyon. Very beautiful. I've taken you out before.
Very beautiful.
It's gorgeous. It stops at very famous places here in town, like Gold Strike Canyon, Sauna Cave, Arizona Hot Springs, places that are very popular with the hiking community out here.
But they're a pretty legit hike too, right?
They are, but we're lucky that we take them via the river, so they just go up the couple hundred feet.
Beautiful, peaceful way getting there, opposed to 4 mile down that. Like the Arizona Hot Springs it's a bit of a hike.
Yeah, and Gold Strike has ropes associated with it that you have to shimmy up and down on. So
it's definitely the better way of doing those hikes for sure.
I mean, 12 miles in a kayak can be a little rough depending on your athletic level. I can take my 60-plus-year-old mom and she can handle it, but some people think that they're going to float down this river, and it's not the case. It's a non-flowing river. Especially with lake levels being lower, they're not releasing as much out of the dam. So the flows have kind of discontinued.
So you got to put the work in.
I got to put the work in, but it's still gorgeous. We have to get special permits through Department of Reclamation to be able to launch right at the base of the dam. So we have to get escorted. Only 45 people can go down there a day. That's only one of our 3 tours. We have half days out of Willow Beach, very popular with us because we're able to take as many people as we want down there because there's no permits associated. That's a great tour for new kayakers, someone that just wants to get off the strip. I would say 90% of our business is clients from the strip that are here for conventions, bachelor parties, vacations.
Who want to get away from the strip vibe, right? There's so much, I think people forget there's so much beauty away from the strip, and you're the perfect example of that.
Yeah, you know, I was born and raised in Alaska.
Wait, really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Spent 18 years up there. And
so you're a nature guy.
I am a nature guy. My dad had a whitewater rafting company as a kid. So I really did enjoy nature. It took me about 2 years from moving out here. When I was in the phase of knowing you, I did not leave the strip, right? We were kind of.
It's easy to get caught up in it.
Yeah,
right?
you get caught up in it. We were working on the strip, partying on the strip, I guess. We were young, you know. And it took me about 2 years to start understanding the natural beauty that Las Vegas has to offer. And there's so much amazing stuff, whether it's Valley of Fire, Red Rock Canyon, Mount Charleston, or where we're at in Lake Mead National Rec area.
So for me, coming from Australia, something I struggled with the most was coming from the beach, grass, trees, nature to the desert. Yeah. And everything being fake. Yeah. So I totally relate.
Yeah. But once you start appreciating the beauty of the desert, I find it gorgeous. I've paddled with one of my employees the entire 330 miles to Yuma, Arizona, Mexico border.
That's insane. Down the Colorado River.
Yeah, down the Colorado River. But the 12-mile area that we participate in is by far the most beautiful, and it's only 45 minutes away from the strip. So a really good area for people to be able to escape. You know, people
and you pick them up.
We'll pick them up. We have Sprinter vans. We do all the logistics for you, make it nice and easy. And a lot of the times we're finding, you know, wives that don't want to gamble are here with conventions, want to get off the strip, or maybe vice versa. The wife came here for work and the husband's just trying to get away. And so,
what about kids as well, right?
Yeah, we do offer tours for kids. We have some tours better than others. We give them squirt guns. The water's nice and cold at 52 degrees.
It's freezing. Yeah, it's always freezing. 52, isn't it?
Yeah, always 52, no matter the time of year.
It's uncomfortably cold, and I like the cold.
Yeah. But
I got a question for you, actually. Yeah. So you mentioned you got 3 tours. So you got one where you start at the Hoover Dam and you go down to Willow Beach, and that's a 12-mile. And then that's where you're doing the Arizona Hot Springs and the Gold Spring Hot Spring.
Yeah, Gold Strike, Arizona Hot Springs. All the hot springs are associated with that full day.
And there's that 12-mile full day tour.
Yeah, and that's a little bit more of an athletic tour for people that are wanting to take on a 7-hour paddle. It's an absolute gorgeous tour. It's not for everyone. Yeah. Our most popular is the half day. Still beautiful. The last 2 miles where Emerald Cave is a very gorgeous part of the canyon. Definitely more crowds are there because it's so easily accessible.
Is the half day from Willow Beach to Emerald Cave and back?
Yeah, so that's a round trip.
Which is really good photo opportunity. And just to see it, really.
Yeah, that whole area is gorgeous. Great photo opportunity, but also it's round trip out of Willow Beach. So if someone's struggling a little bit more, there's always the opportunity to kind of back out of it, or good for kids because it's 4 miles or 3 hours on the water.
Is it 4 miles round trip or
4 miles round trip?
Okay, yeah, which isn't bad, is it?
Yeah. It's about an hour each way, and then we stop for about an hour and let them swim or go up to a scenic viewpoint. And then our last tour is going to be our Twilight Tour. We run those on weekends.
So talk to me about that. I don't know much about this one.
It's amazing. This one's actually our most popular with locals. We used to focus them only around the full moons, but they became so popular that we actually run them every weekend now.
So how do you do it?
So what we do is we take them out. It's the same area that we go on the half day. It's a 4-mile round trip out of Willow Beach. But we try to put on the water about an hour before sunset, an hour and a half, depending on the time of year. Okay. We normally get to our first stop and the sun's normally setting. Hopefully we get a beautiful coloration in the sky. And then we continue up to where it's starting, to get dark. We have lights in the front and the back of the kayaks that kind of illuminate them and make them glow. Okay. We stop, we'll do a fire with a campfire with s'mores and hot dogs and just...
Seems like a good date type trip or something, right?
A lot of proposals on this trip.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah,
that's cool.
A lot of proposals. It is a very good date trip. Very kind of it's quiet. No one's out there that time of night.
Yeah, but
so,
was it hard to get approval to do it at night, or was it?
No, I just put it in my permit. So we have what's called a commercial use agreement with the national park. We're allowed to operate in the park. We're not. There's 2 permits you can have. You can have a commercial agreement, or you can have a concession. A concession is you have to operate in the park and you have to supply the public with X, Y, and Z. We would love to have that, but it's much harder to get.
Okay.
That's how you can get like motorized tours. There's only one company that can do motorized tours.
Gotcha.
So we have what's called a commercial use agreement permit, which nearly 99% of the companies have. All the kayak companies have. And that just allows you, and you just put it in the permit and it gets approved. I just got my permit for 2023 approved yesterday, which is always a big sigh of relief, even though we know it's probably going to happen, but it's just big weight off your shoulders, because we have this, huge company that if the permit gets pulled, it's over.
You're stuck.
I mean,
absolutely.
And we talk about being an entrepreneur and having no boss and answering to no one. Well, when you work for the national park and the federal government, they are our boss. You have to do what they want. And if they told me no, I don't think the Twilight Tour is safe, we would just have to pull it.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So we have to get approval on all of it, but it's they know our track record. We've never had a rescue. We've never had any kind of injury over the last 7 years. We're taking out. Last year we took out just over 15,000 people, so quite a few people.
Gotcha.
I would say over 7 years we've probably done about 40 to 50,000, because we started off a little bit small.
That's a great track record, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they've got faith and they've got confidence to let you to do your thing.
And all my guides have to be trained in wilderness first aid, CPR, and then some of my guides have beyond training. Like we've a couple of them are first responders, which is like a full 2-week course. And then a lot of them are like swiftwater rescue trained, even though the water's pretty slow moving out here. I took them out to Kernville last year, California, into some whitewater area, just getting them more comfortable in the water. The more confident you are, the better you can be.
Being over prepared, if anything. For sure. Talk to me. What made you start a kayak company? Like, what you make? Hey, I'm just gonna.
It's interesting, and we're tied into that in a way. So I used to play poker. I did modeling, did some TV work when I was younger, easily over a decade ago now. And then after we stopped hanging out, I disappeared, and I went and lived in your neck of the woods. I went to Australia.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, I went and lived in Australia for a year and a half on one of the work holiday visa permits.
Where were you living?
In Sydney.
Were you really?
In Coogee and right off of Darling Harbour as well.
Right in the mix of it.
Yeah, I worked at Marquee nightclub out there.
Oh, did you really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was working in the industry, and I did that for 9 months. I wanted to get out of Vegas. I wasn't the biggest. I mean, I liked it, but it wasn't for me at that time.
You gotta have the right part of Vegas and the right friends in Vegas.
So I started traveling. I went to Australia, and then I traveled around Asia for a while. Went to New Zealand for a while, and then I tried to work in the Greek Islands. Didn't really last long. I was going to bartend there. I kind of got burnt out and ready to come home.
Had you traveled before, or was that the first time?
I mean, I've done a lot of vacations. I've never done anything living
out of state.
No. I've vacationed all around the country or all around the world when I was.
Oh, okay. So you had left the country.
I had quite a bit, but I'd never lived out of a backpack and did multi-year of just having no connections, and so I had an amazing time, and I was in that travel mindset when I came back to the U.S. And I'm a big snowboarder. I got a job at Jackson Hole as a bartender, and I got a job as a kayak guide at one of the competitors. I was trying to decide between the two, and I wanted to go to Jackson Hole. That my goal was to work at a ski resort. I wanted to go to Europe or Jackson Hole to work, and my dad was trying to convince me otherwise, to stay here because my mom missed me. My parents were living out here, and they still do. And he's like, maybe you should just be a kayak guide. You never know. This is a great industry, the outdoor industry. Maybe we could start something up one day.
That's interesting.
And so I had when I started being a guide there, I had no thought of wanting to start up my own company. Maybe my dad was thinking elsewhere, but
you weren't going in thinking I'm gonna take.
I didn't go in thinking like I'm gonna learn everything. I came in being a kayak guide, and so I did that for about 6 or 7 months, and I left that winter to go to Asia for 3 months, And I came back in January of 2016 in the company I was working for. They were doing something that's very common in the outdoor industry, and that is paying your employees incorrectly as a 1099 contractor instead of a W-2. They got caught by the IRS doing that, and they then had to pay us correctly as a W-2 employee. They put the entire tax burden on us. It pissed all the employees off. They made it so that they were paying the same amount of money when they were paying as a 1099 versus a W-2.
Yep.
And so we took on the whole tax burden, and we made probably, we weren't making much as it was, but if we were making $40K a year the year before, we were making like 28 now. And so everyone got really mad. And he kind of bragged revenue numbers to me, what they did that year before this all went down.
Gotcha.
So I kind of took those numbers and brought it to my dad, and we discussed it, and it made sense, and it was a great industry. I loved doing it.
I was going to say, you got a taste of how much you loved it.
I loved doing it, and I wanted to pursue it as a career. And so we put what we thought was what we needed. We had $50,000, and we thought that's what's going to be able to start this company. And within 2 weeks of buying stuff, we now knew that it was going to be a lot more than that. And so it went from 50, and I think our initial investment had to be upwards of $250,000, which was
did it really?
Way over what we expected.
Did you? Was your dad able to help you fund it? Did you have to borrow
he did.
it,
Well, a little bit of both. He did.
Okay.
He helped, and he was the part owner too. He owned 50% of the company. He did the back end. He did the taxes. He did the marketing. He did all that kind of stuff, and then he put a lot of the capital up.
Okay.
I had to do what's called sweat equity. So
do the work.
I had to do the work without getting paid until there was enough equity in both, which took about 3 years of pretty much working without any real pay. Like there was cost of living adjustments and stuff like that, but it was 3 years of 100-hour weeks easily to get up to there. But like I was going back to it, we thought it was going to be, we did the breakdown on how much we're going to need. What we ran into was it's very hard as a new company to borrow, to buy vehicles on loan and stuff like that. So
the credit,
the credit,
right?
It was just impossible. So we ended up having to pay everything in cash.
Okay.
And
were you buying secondhand?
We were buying secondhand, and
so you're being as resourceful as you possibly could.
And we needed to be able to grow the business quickly, and to do that, you need capital. We brought in a couple employees to begin with. We bought maybe 12 boats, 1 bus, 1 trailer. And we needed to be able to get tours running to be able to get our search engine optimization for our website to drive traffic there.
Okay.
So we did what every company doesn't want to do, and that was go on Groupon. Groupon, we referred to it back then as crack because it felt really good because you got the bookings coming in, but they discount your product upwards of 60% and then
you're not really making anything.
Take a 40% commission. No, we weren't making anything, but we knew that going into it. But we needed to get people driven to our website. We needed to get reviews. We needed to
You had momentum.
Yeah, and we did that for a full year and easily lost a substantial amount of money.
Gotcha.
It might have covered labor, but wouldn't cover any other costs on top of it. And so after that first year, we did what you needed to do. A lot of people, it depends on how you structure your company. We wanted to start off big and then be able to build from there instead of just taking out 2 people a day, 1 person a day. We wanted to take out 20 people a day, and so that we could then take out, like today is a small day for me and we have about 90 people going out.
Okay.
Labor Day weekend, I had our biggest day at 130 people, and that's what we wanted to build to. And luckily,
it's not big, you wouldn't have been able to do that.
And if we did it the other way, which would have been just me running tours, it could have been. We don't know what it could have been.
You took more risk to get further quicker.
High risk, high reward.
Okay.
But I could have easily been, and I know some of the other companies out there. I could be doing the tours, and it's probably more profitable in the short run of taking 2 to 10 people out as the owner by yourself, running out of your garage, not having high insurances and stuff like that. but we wanted to build a company to maybe one day sell or be able to retire on.
That's interesting. So that's really interesting.
That was the idea from the beginning. Otherwise, we never would have gone through that Groupon phase. And we've never done Groupon since, and we probably never will. No offense to anyone that does Groupon. It worked for some people. It just depends on how you structure your company. It's great. It gets you customers. I mean, we went from not a phone call and we went live on our website for like 2 weeks. And, we went live thinking that, we're going to get phone calls daily. It's just going to start flowing in. It just doesn't work like that. But then we signed up with Groupon, and then it went from 0 bookings to the phone wouldn't stop ringing until 4 a.m. just because they push you, because we offered them a very good rate, Groupon. You know, the more you let them discount, the more they're going to make money off of you, because they're getting 40% commission.
Gotcha. That's
I think it's changed since that time period, but at that time it was 40%. The industry standard's 25. Like all the other third parties around here is a 35% commission base. So they're taking an extra 15%. So the more you discount for them, the better you are. And they pushed us big time. And we went from, like I said, nothing to the phone wouldn't stop ringing. We didn't have a receptionist. We didn't have, and so I'm like driving the bus. It was very stressful. And
was your dad a business guy?
He was, yeah.
Did that help a lot? It seems like,
time.
I was going to say, it seems like that's a very daunting thing to do without any type of support.
I mean, a lot of it is the confidence to do it. Like now that I'm 7 years in, I could give advice to someone starting and be like, it's not that daunting, but like you said, it's scary.
I mean, you by yourself going in that much debt, that must be pretty scary.
Yeah, it would have been.
So you had what type of background does your dad have to give you that business guidance?
So he had his master's in business, and he had.
Did he really? Okay.
He had his PhD as well. So,
wow. Okay.
So he worked for a lot of different corporations, upwards of CEO level. And he ran his own companies, and he failed a lot. This is
probably really
this is good.
Valuable. Yeah. Which is everyone fails.
I know.
Right?
I'm 1 for 1 right now, which I'm really happy about. But it's because my dad failed 10 times growing up, and they never bought me vehicles when I was kids, or paid for college. They had incentives for that, but I couldn't thank them enough for giving me the guidance and help to run this company. And he owns a company still. Unfortunately, he's passed. He passed a couple of years ago.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. He passed in the middle of a business meeting, had a stroke on me, but it is what it is. But now my mom took over his role in the company. But without,
it must be nice to be working with your mom now. Like you guys must have such a nice relationship.
We get along very well. She's not the same person as my dad. She doesn't have the background.
Yeah.
We've had to find different roles for her to be able to help the business. She doesn't have a PhD. She doesn't have a master's, and she wasn't a Inc. 500 CEO. But she has different ability to help. So we've had to move her into different avenues, and it's been great that we're a family-run company, because after he did pass, she was very close to him. Obviously, they were still married, and so this allows her to take her mind off of living alone and that kind
and spending more time with her son, which must be huge.
And she just had my sister just had a second kid, so she's able to put a lot of interest in that. But going back to what you originally said, without his support, this would have probably never happened. Not financially, but just his support. With his business mind, we never would have grown to the size we are now.
And I'm sure you're so grateful for having that.
Yeah, of course.
Support. Because most people, unless your parents are entrepreneurs or business owners, you're kind of figuring it out for yourself. Yeah. You're reading books, you're watching stuff, but and
you can read as many books as you want, but having a real experience
outweighs anything, right?
And I don't want to say the funny thing is, but so he passed in 2019. Right before COVID in October, he had a stroke, and we snuck through the winter. We were just growing. I think we just used you for some video. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, we just moved before COVID.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
we moved into the Hoover Dam Lodge, and there's a lot of more to the story, but we were going to have a hard winter financially, because we just moved, and we were expecting to take out a business loan to build, because we just went into that retail store. And when he passed, we lost the credit that went with him. So we got denied the loan.
Damn.
But we were able to make it through the winter, and the winter was amazing. And we're like, oh, things are looking good. We had the best Q1. We hired you to come out and do some videos for us. And then March 13th happened, and they locked us down. And we went from having a great Q1 to having to refund everyone in Q1. We had to come up with $100,000 that we couldn't come up with. Like we just... we don't have the business model where we keep all 100% cash on hand. So we had a very, very tough initial response to COVID. And we had two goals, I guess, not goals. We had two choices we could make with COVID. We could not refund the people their money back and pray that we were only going to get 50 bad reviews, and most likely it was going to be the downfall of our company. We could just close our doors completely and shut up, or we could find a way to get the people their money back, continue delivering this service that we've always delivered, which is 5-star service, and try to make our way through this so that on the other end of COVID, we can climb. And luckily, we were able to come up with the money. It mostly came out of my dad's life insurance policy. So that's another scary thing, that we had to pull life insurance money to put back into the company because of COVID.
That's
which is like my mom's full retirement.
Yeah, I was gonna say
it's like everything.
For...
but it's either in this company she owns half of it, so this is her retirement as well. So I said, well, you can, we have two options. We can try to keep this company afloat. Or we can try to go out and get a loan, but we've already done that, and without Bruce's credit, it's at that time I was 29 and my mom never worked outside of that. So and
you're doing this by yourself too, and so you're used to having a support system, and now it's just you.
And so we decided to pull from the life insurance, or my mom did. It's her choice, obviously, and we kept the company going. In June, we were allowed to open back up. And between June to the end of the year, it was only probably about a third of our season, because most of our season is March through September. So we had June, July, August, and September left.
Just due to the nicer weather, is it?
Yeah, and tourism, just based on how the influx of Vegas comes through. But in those 4 months, we still had our best year ever. And so we knew that something big was on the horizon. And I made another gamble of trying to start building for 2021, because I knew supply chains were going to start just exploding soon, and it was going to be hard to get boats. It was going to be hard to get vans. It was going to be hard to get all this stuff that we needed to build. So I started pre-ordering it, which is a risk, because we barely made it through 2020. Even though we had our best year in 2020, that pretty much made us just break even to what we started the year with. So 2020 was a wash. But if you asked me in March if I was okay with a wash, I would tell you absolutely. So 2021 happened, and I was able to buy all this stuff that none of the other companies took the risk on. And I don't think my dad being alive, he was very conservative, because this was his retirement. I gambled a little bit more, and 2021 we 4.5x'd our revenue to our biggest year yet.
Did you really? Wow.
Yeah, and it was an amazing year.
How does that feel to take a gamble and actually pay off?
Well, I used to play poker, so it's great. And
is it a relief, or is it more like...
It was a relief. I could have...
But also excited at the same time, right?
Yeah, adrenaline. It was amazing, and it wasn't just a gamble. We were looking at trends. It's an educated gamble. Yeah, right? It was an educated gamble, exactly. I just don't think if Bruce was around, my dad, he would have taken that gamble.
Okay.
So
that's interesting.
It's interesting that we have two different thoughts. I don't think the company would be as big if he was around still. It would have been safer, that's for sure. but I took gambles, and luckily they paid off.
Poker side of you coming out.
And then this year, it has slowed down. We are going into a recession, but this year would have still 4x our best year before COVID. So even though we're seeing a slowdown, we're on this trajectory for probably, hopefully, the rest of the company's life, in my opinion. We've gone over that hump to now we have 6 Sprinter vans, like I said, and 3 other vehicles, and we have 250 boats now, and we bought a commercial property last year that houses all this. So
what's the property at? How close is it?
It's in Boulder City. So
okay, perfect.
Yeah, so it's great distance because we
and
have
you bought the property, you know?
We bought the property, yeah.
So you literally have real estate investment now.
Yeah.
Which is huge.
It is huge. So yeah, we deploy our buses to the Strip, and then you've been to our retail store that's in the casino. We rent that. But
it's really nice. It's like super professional.
Exactly. That's the reason we got it. I could lose money on that retail shop every single month. I don't care about selling retail. It's the fact that we have a lot of contracts with the helicopter companies and bus companies. So they have this storefront that they're able to drop our mutual guests off, so they can do a Grand Canyon tour.
It's the perception when you walk in.
Yeah.
You're inside a casino. It's beautiful inside, opposed to something being run from a garage.
Exactly.
I've worked with so many different companies, and I see what people are doing really well, and I see what people like half-assing.
Yeah,
and you're not half-assing that by any measure.
And you lose money on it, and a lot of people would look at that, like look at the balance sheet at the end of the month, and like, oh, why are you paying rent in this casino when you're losing money? But to me, you have 5 different aspects of a business, and you can't look at all of them being profitable. You have to lose money in certain avenues to be able to build the company in different avenues.
Overall, right? Yeah, so that's interesting.
We do love having that spot, and that's something that really helped us build with contracts. Like we're, like I said, doing helicopter companies, joint tours. We do a lot of big convention work, like 80, 100 person conventions.
Okay.
So having that spot where people can get dropped off at is big for us. And a lot of my competitors and COVID, the bad part about COVID is, and I'm all for free market, but we went from about 4 companies to there's 24 companies down there now. So there's a lot of competition, but 20 out of those 24 companies are working out of their garages. So we do have that step up on.
Is there a fine line where they should, hey, that's enough for us too?
Well, yeah. Well,
or are they making too much
it was
money?
it was about 8 companies ago was the fine line, and the national park this year realized their mistake, and now they're threatening to kick companies out, which
also doesn't really seem fair.
It doesn't seem fair. I hate it because it could be me, and and that's when we were talking about earlier with my permit. Like I got my permit, and it was a huge relief because and the national park loves us because, well, I don't know about love, but you know, we donate a lot of life jackets to them. We work with them. We do everything legitimately. We have workers' comp insurance, unemployment insurance. Our vehicles are all perfect. And
even having so many companies, maybe that stops you from being able to expand as well. They're like, hey, there's enough boats out today, or
well, that's what we're worried that. That's what we're worried that they're going to come down on it. And
rather than having 2 or 3 massive companies, now you've got 20 small companies, and that big company gets suppressed.
And I have no problem with free market. So if they want to allow 24 companies into the river, I'm okay with that. What I don't want to happen is then they say, okay, you can only take 16 people out per person. And like, well, that's not how I built my company. That's especially not where I put 7 figures into this company to build it to this point, and then you've allowed so many companies into the area. Now you're going to start potentially taking away. So it's a fine line of, okay, should we stop them? And what they've come up with is they've constantly kind of, I wouldn't say getting down our throat, but they've realized that they've allowed too many companies in there. And so now they're saying that they're going to go to what I explained earlier, which is a concession based, where we have to bid on the permit. And they're only going to give 3 out, like Red Rock.
Is that whoever pays the most money?
Yeah, so to me, it's a good thing. It's a good thing for me.
Yeah, because you're probably in the position to pay the most.
And it's not like just paying them. It's just saying like, okay, I expect to do 15,000 people. And so right now, what we paid in the national park is we have to pay $15 per person that we bring in from vehicles, and then $5 per person that goes on tour, regardless if they drive themselves or vehicles. So
they're making more money out of you.
To put it in perspective, if we did 15,000 people last year and we brought all of them in, that's $300,000 that we gave to the park. So they do make a substantial amount of money. So if we went to a concession base where we have to bid, we'd say, okay, I project to do 17,000 people, even though maybe I only think I'm going to do 15, but I want to project 17,000 so that I pay for 17,000 so that I can win the permit.
That's interesting. Yeah. Talk to me about, so you said you worked for a couple of years for free, you paying back the debt. When do you start getting paid, and how do you justify how much you get paid, and how does that work? Or how did that work? And how does it work today?
I like to explain it the poorest millionaire you'll ever meet. I'm only a millionaire because my company is worth probably a good amount of money because I own real estate now and stuff like that. I have a large amount of employees that have made more money than me year after year after year after year after year. I mean, you can see my truck that I pulled up outside. I drive a 20-year-old truck.
Not for I drive $6,000 Camry.
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
It doesn't bother me.
What matters is what you're doing.
I mean, you knew me the last 2 years. I was living in a trailer down by the lake, a travel trailer.
But it's okay, right?
It's fine to me.
It doesn't.
I mean, I love it.
You're not worried about someone else's opinions or thoughts of you because you know what you're trying to do.
Yeah, and I'm not bragging when I say I'm a poorest millionaire. I probably am. I wouldn't know it because I probably make $40,000-$50,000 a year. Is what I pay yourself. What I pay myself,
which is probably plenty, right?
It's enough for me to live, and I pay myself enough to live, and to make sure that the company is doing enough, right?
And then, are you taking the extra profit and reinvesting back in the business?
Yeah, it's all just been reinvesting.
Okay. That's literally what Amazon still does.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at like $1 billion company, it still does that.
Yeah.
But eventually, you become so big that you can't be touched.
Yeah, and we've gotten to kind of the point where this company wants to be at. I've got enough boats, I've got enough buses, I've got the property. I don't see myself investing more, and I mean, there'll be obviously always investing, but I've gotten to kind of the plateau that I want to be at, and so now it's hopefully time to start making, in my opinion, real money, because I put a lot of work into what. So
you don't want to expand too much further
in this company. I've got plenty of other companies I want to use this company to branch off to and expand. But
companies you're already in, or companies you're looking to start?
I look different locations for where we're at and stuff.
Okay, so
I just think that the river is at the amount of boats that I can put out in a day is enough for the river to
so you want to take that
out.
Business and you want to put that in a different state or a different spot.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a couple places that we're looking at. Yeah, start all over again.
Okay.
But that's not definite, because every day that weighs on my mind. Do I want to do another 7 years, 8 years? It probably wouldn't take as long on the second try because we've got the skeleton that can build off of. But part of me is like, if I do the math and I don't have to reinvest any of this money, how much am I going to make? And then, is this going to be enough for me? Which most likely will. But the entrepreneur in me is like, man, maybe we should build some more.
Yeah.
Maybe we should go into hostel or like ecotourism hostels in the Southwest. Maybe we should do this.
That's a struggle in itself, isn't it? Because financially, you can just live a nice life and do what you love and oversee a nice business, and I could
be retired in 10 years probably. Not retired.
Or you could hustle and grind for the rest of your life and stress yourself out. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with either one.
Well,
it's just, what do you want to do?
My dad killed himself from stress. He had a stroke, stress related.
Was it a lot like working and?
Yeah, I mean, he worked harder than me easily throughout his whole life, and I'm probably on the same path, but I'm okay with it. I don't want to die at a young age, and I need to learn how to mitigate my stress a lot better. But that's just the type of people we are. We're just we just push ourselves, and
you've probably seen such a good role model. You probably really look up to your dad too, right?
Oh yeah,
so you probably like want to be the person that he is.
100%. And something that I've talked to a lot of people about is one of the hardest things was reading his like his bucket list. Like after he passed, we saw all the things he wanted to do.
Gotcha.
And he really wanted to retire. He always talked about retiring and always talked about retiring. But I've talked to a lot of people that worked with him, and they all said the same thing. He never would have retired. Like no matter what, if he was the healthiest person, he would have been 85 years old and he would have been working somehow.
They're probably enjoying what he does.
Exactly.
I feel like it's two different things. You're retiring because you hate your job, or you continue working because you love what you do. I never want to retire. I just want to keep doing what I want to do.
I want to be able to mitigate stress, build something, and enjoy what I do. Like I get 3 months off in the winter, and I love that 3 months,
awesome,
and I look forward to that 3 months. 6 weeks into that 3 months, I'm just full of anxiety, and I'm just like
getting antsy,
ready to go back. Not that I want to go back. I don't want to go back to work. Yeah, I just can't. I can't handle it. And I'm out there snowboarding every day, or on the beach, and I'm doing fun stuff. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh, I need to be where the company is to make sure that everything's okay.
Take me back. You mentioned passion, and I'm a big believer of this. I feel like a lot of people chase the money, and you talk about you really loved being a kayak, like being an instructor, taking people out, and you followed a passion, and the money followed. Would you encourage other people to do that opposed to chasing the money?
Well, I think you have to do it. I mean, the money comes when, but you can't get through anything in life without passion.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. How important is that, you think?
I would say don't go clock in and clock out if you don't have passion for what you're going to do. Because
it's going to be a hard, like you've been through a mission, like a struggle. But that passion has kept you going, hasn't it?
I'm still waking up at 3:30 in the morning to go to work every day, even when I know that I got to pay my employees and I don't get paid. And but if I didn't have the passion, I would have given up. I wouldn't have cared. I wouldn't have.
That's exactly what I'm getting at.
Want to go to work. Yeah. And so I would say don't start anything. I mean, whatever you want to do in life, you have to be passionate about. Whether it's sports, whether it's a relationship, whether it's work. And if you lack passion in life, then I recommend sticking with a clock in, clock out kind of position.
Security.
Security, if that's what you want. But passion is 100% the driving force in at least my business. And I don't think it has to be something that you're passionate about that you do for work. But as long as you're passionate about building that company, you can find something that you think has a good business model behind it. As long as you're passionate about the growth of it, then you'll be okay. For me, I need to have something that I enjoy doing for me to want to do it. Now, unfortunately, I don't get to do tours anymore. I had to step more into my dad's position, and I've had to learn how to be the boss. And I've had to learn how to find passion in that, and I do. But I wouldn't do anything without passion. And I think that comes back to I was an athlete my whole life. All the way through college, I got a full ride for swimming and diving, and I got pushed really hard into it, and I did enjoy it a lot. But it's tough to get up at 3 a.m. to go to swim and dive practice, and then go to school, and then go to a different sport practice.
So that is still some pretty good habits in you.
Work ethic and
habits.
So
I want to touch on self-reflection. And do you ever stop, self-reflect? Are you proud of yourself? Do you ever pat yourself on the back? Or are you so kind of driven that you never really look back?
I think I'm more hard on myself than pat myself on the back. There's been times that we've gotten like an award here or there. We recently got the best 20 companies in the country for tourism from Viator. They selected the best 20 experiences out of all Viator, which is owned by TripAdvisor. So the
whole country.
In the whole country.
That's amazing, right?
Yeah, it was a good one, and that was one where I had to like sit down, and it's more of not me being proud, thinking like, I bet you Bruce would be proud of this accomplishment, and that's what makes me proud.
Awesome.
But no, I would say I'm harder on myself than I should be.
I feel like that's a very entrepreneurial type spirit, right?
Yeah.
This what's the next goal? You're never satisfied.
Yeah, people will constantly like say good things, and you almost think that they're just like, oh, they're just being fake. Like they're gonna say that to everyone, and they probably aren't. But no, it's tough to pat yourself on the back. I mean, because you see the bad stuff in the company that the other people don't see. You see like, oh shit, I barely made payroll last pay period. Like, what does this trajectory mean for the company? And then a week later, it's fine. But, so you're constantly seeing the whole intricacy of the company, and to the outside observer, they're like, wow, you're doing really well. That's amazing.
Interesting.
But you're seeing all the cracks and crevices that any healthy company is going to have. I mean, it's not rare for a company to go through a bad week or a bad 2 weeks or a vehicle breaking down or whatever it may be. We're
going to get to that in a second.
Yeah, but when you see all the negative in the company, you're just going to be harder on yourself.
And it's probably a good thing, because that's what's just going to keep pushing. So you started in the mix of it. You started like literally getting up at 3:30 in the morning, getting out there, running the tours yourself, doing the paddling. How hard was it for you to delegate, step back, and start to put other people in place of you? Did you struggle with that? Because you seem like you really want to keep control. Yeah. Talk to me about the process of that.
I have to physically take myself out of a position, otherwise I will take control. So if I'm in my office, a retail shop, and my receptionist or reservationist answers the phone, I walk away. I cannot listen to her talk on the phone.
Even though she's been trained, she knows what to say.
She knows what she's doing, because I'll want to be... I know that there's probably a better way of doing something.
That's going to be hard, right?
And so I don't want to micromanage. I try not to. I want to train them to be the best possible employee they can be. But they have to grow their own wings. So stepping back was
I could see you
hardest.
struggle with it.
I have a general manager now, and I brought in my brother-in-law who had a 10-year career at MGM Corporate, high up in MGM Corporate. And 2021, I was working just 6 months straight, no days off, literally about to die. I felt I was working 17-hour days because we were doing everything from full days to twilights, and I was cleaning the boats for the night tours, and then waking up 2 hours later to launch. And
plus, it's a
physical job,
super physical.
So I had to hire Walter, who is my general manager, and he's doing an amazing job. And it's been difficult having to completely step back and let him delegate to the employees. There's been some great things. I don't have to fire people anymore. That's wonderful.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just have to fire the one person, and I don't have to fire him because he's doing a good job. But like a lot of the bad jobs, I don't have to do anymore. Like the things I hated doing, firing people. Not that we have to do much of it, but there's
no. But you're a good guy, and nobody likes that.
No one wants to do that kind of stuff. And so now I have someone that I can be like, let's tell this person to do X, Y, and Z instead of, and so, but having to step back has been tough. Like I won't check the emails anymore. I've let the company kind of grow in different avenues. Like we have an office manager now. We have a couple salary positions, which is pretty big for us because most of our employees are going to be seasonal. So we have an office manager, and then we have Walter as our general manager. So I used to check the emails and read the emails and see like if it's being answered correctly. And I've allowed them to just completely take over it, and then
slowly but surely,
and I'm sure there's been problems, and there's probably been complaints, but I look more on a larger scale. Like, are we losing revenue over it? Are we getting negative reviews over some of the stuff? And if we're not, I let them do their own thing.
What's the hardest thing to step out of that you've? Like, what's the one thing that you struggle with the most? You're like, oh, I really.
Yeah, it's.
Or has it been all of it?
I would say communication with the customers, like how I would talk to a customer versus how
building that rapport, making it feel comfortable.
But just like answering questions. Once again, a good thing. I'm a pushover when it comes to refunds, and people try to take advantage of us all the time. Oh, they have the Vegas flu, which is a hangover, stuff like that, and I would always feel really bad. I know. I feel really bad like taking people's money, but in the end, like I'm losing. Like if I refund them the day of they're supposed to be there and they miss the bus, I can't fill that spot. I've already hired someone to be in that spot. I lose money, but I have such a hard time.
Do you really? Yeah.
Just being like, no, our cancellation policy is this. You clicked a button for that. I'm sorry. Unfortunately, you do not get a refund.
Okay. But now you got someone else.
So now I have someone that's just like, nope. And
don't you love it?
I do love that.
It's like when you're at Walmart, you're trying to return something like, oh, sorry, we won't accept it. It's not their fault. It's the policy of the $1 billion company.
Yeah. So it's been great being able to step back from that, because I would just be like, oh yeah, I would give people whatever they wanted.
Gotcha. And you're a people pleaser.
I had to be. Well, I didn't have to be. I felt like, it was my company. People looked at it a little differently, and they, whatever you want, we'll make it happen.
Yeah.
You have 20 people and we only have 15 spots. I'll go rent a van for you. Now it's like we have to stay within our parameters, because now I'm overseeing things in more of a whole, and we got to make money as a business. And before I would take losses on days, and I don't think that's good business, but we built such great reviews because of it that so sometimes there'll be questions at the office we'll just shut down immediately, and I'll have a tough time being like trying to go in there and be like, no, maybe we can accommodate for that, and Walter be like, you're going to lose money, why do you want to accommodate? And I'm like, oh, okay, all right, yeah, we'll just say no. It's just hard for me to say no.
I like how honest you are about it, though.
Yeah.
Like, what? Talk to me about mistakes you've made through the business. I'm sure you've done some blunders.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What's some biggest things you've like? I can't believe that we did that. Or
physically, I flipped a trailer that cost probably $20,000. We have trailers.
Driving, or just when it was unloading?
I was trying to get it around a curb going really slow, and I popped the curb and it just flipped over with all the boats on it. That was my fault.
Was this unloading or loading?
It was getting ready to unload, so like the whole tour got just yeah. Oh god, there's got to be a million mistakes that have happened.
What's some of the things that come to mind that, like, I had a photographer on the other day and he got to shoot without his camera.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever not had enough boats?
Oh yeah. I mean, honestly, that's a daily thing. We have so much logistics going on.
There's so many moving parts. I
would more say, like, how do we fix those problems? Because the problems happen every day. I've had to step out of being down at the river, and I've had to hire someone that used to be like me down there that organized the tours, so that I can be up top for when mistakes do happen, that I can get an extra vehicle.
So your phone's on you 24/7?
24/7. Like, every time that you've been checking out, I've been making sure that a fire doesn't need to be put out. I know.
Honestly, dude, these things, as far as business, these things are amazing. Because you can just look, hey, it's important, it's not important. You're driving, you can talk to it. I highly recommend. It's the best thing I ever got as far as business for communication.
Yeah.
Do you use Apple or not?
100% Apple.
Okay, I definitely do. $200 something, you're good. Go get one today.
I'll have to do it.
And then you can thank you later on today.
No, I mean, I'm trying to think of huge ones. It's a daily occurrence that mistakes happen. Like, we had a bus breakdown yesterday because one of my guides hit a rock. There's been times that
you can't prep, and no matter what you do, it's just gonna hit the fan, right?
It's gonna hit the fan, and it hits the fan daily. We have an amazing core group of guides. They're absolutely amazing. And going back to what you said earlier, what's one of the hardest things you have to do? I have to realize that they're employees. That's really hard.
Not friends.
Not friends, but don't have as much passion as me. They're
no one cares
employees.
about your business like you do, right?
No one's ever going to care as much as I do.
I feel like that is the biggest. And like, what makes me think of is when you're talking about the communication with the customer.
Yeah.
You're so, we go up here, you see the sites, and the passion comes out of you, and someone else is just...
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of what I was referring to before.
I totally get what you mean.
No one is going to be me. And including my general manager, he has the most passion out of any of the employees. He's an employee. He still is an employee. He clocks out. He has 2 babies at home. He has my sister that will bite his head off if he brings work home with him, So no one's going to think about the company 24/7. No one's going to come in 3 hours early to organize the trailers.
It's your baby. It's your shop.
It's my baby.
Yeah.
It's I have to make sure that everything works correctly. And, like, let's say a trailer goes down the day before. Maybe he forgets about it, and then he gets home and he's like, oh shit, I got a flat tire on that trailer, and then he'll just leave it for another. I'm not saying that this happened, but where I would drive 2 hours back into work
just to get it done.
To get it done, because I know that it has to get done, and it's either tomorrow morning for me, which could create a whole accordion of problems. When one thing goes wrong, the rest of the day goes wrong. So yeah, the biggest thing was realizing that no matter what, no employee is going to have the same passion as you, which is okay.
Are you 7 days a week?
Not anymore. Not now that the company?
The company's
7 days a week.
Okay.
Yeah, the company's 360 days out of the year.
And having a company which is 7 days a week myself, it's 24/7. There's
24/7,
there's never a break.
And luckily I hired Walter to give me a break. So
so you're getting 2 days off now.
I get 2 days off. I get Tuesday, Wednesdays off.
You literally had to work your way up to this.
This was 6 years, especially after we lost Bruce. It went from at least me being able to take like a day off a month when Bruce was around to it was just, like I said, 2021, I thought I was going to physically just be exhausted.
Let's talk about your health. Like, how are you prioritizing your health? Do you have time for it? Are you eating well? Are you exercising outside of work?
Recently, I got a membership at Lifetime because I wanted something to do outside of work, because and
you become obsessive, right? Where this is all you do, and that can't be healthy.
And I picked Lifetime, and everyone makes fun of me, like, oh, you're just going to, because all my employees think I make this huge amount of money. So like, you're going to Lifetime. I'm like, well, I want to swim laps. I want to go in the sauna. I want to sit in the hot tub, and I want to think about work, but in a very peaceful setting, and be able to almost give me something to do in the middle of the day. So I do prioritize my health in a way.
It doesn't seem like you were. No. It didn't seem like you had time to do that.
No, and it was tough. And this is 2 months old. Like me going back to the
How old
gym.
are you now?
How old?
Yeah, how old?
33.
33. Okay. So and this type of thing, like, before you know it, you're 40 and you've worked your whole life, and you're like, oh wow, now I'm really not healthy. I guess you had a physical job, which probably was a huge part of that.
Yeah. So that is good. I definitely don't take care of my health when it comes to food. I like to go out to restaurants, and that's one of the very few things that like I reward myself with, is because the only time of day I have off is at night. So I'll go, get
What's
sushi.
Your go-to? Sushi?
I like sushi. I like Mongolian hot pot, like Chubby Cattle's like one of my favorite restaurants. Steaks, whatever it may be, but
it's the good food.
Good food, yeah. I don't like cooking, so.
What's something that comes to mind as far as, like, you're in this beautiful area, you got beautiful things going around, you got nature, you got proposals. What's some of the biggest, coolest things you've seen that stands out to you? Is it a certain proposal? Is it some animal you never thought you'd see?
The first thing that came to mind, and this was when I was guiding still, I had someone that had like a month left to live go on tour. Wow. And she broke down with how like this was her bucket list thing to do, and it was a full day. And this was back like when the river was quieter, and there's days that I wish that the companies weren't as busy as they are. Like, not in a business mind, of course I want it to be busy, but like it was just very peaceful, it was quiet, and she broke down because like this was just like one of the best moments of her life, and she was about to die in the next month or so. And I've had probably like 3 people now that have terminal. I had someone the other day ask, they said, my brother has kidney failure, terminal kidney failure, and he could go at any point. Are you okay with him going on tour? I said, yeah, if you're okay. I'm like, there's no better place for I would want to be than be on the river. Okay. As long as you know that if he has failure, he's 2 hours away from shore, and at shore he's 2 hours away from a hospital. But if you're willing to take that risk, like, let's get you on the river. I'll do anything to accommodate that. Like, if you're, I know how short life is going to be. Like, you could go tomorrow, right? And so I'm not going to sit here and tell you that my insurance is going to stop you from.
So you've had some powerful moments then with stuff.
I would think so. With stuff like that. Yeah.
What about nature? Mountain lions? Anything like crazy?
I've seen mountain lion kills, like fresh kills, like bighorn sheep that have just been killed within days. I've seen a rattlesnake take a bird out of the air. That was pretty amazing. Yeah,
That's
I got a picture.
Cool.
Yeah.
You got a picture?
A picture of it, like half, like it's reaching out of a rock, and it's got a magpie in their mouth. A lot of coyotes, ringtail.
You see bighorn sheep a lot too, right?
We see bighorn sheep a lot. One of the coolest things I love seeing on the river is there's a bald eagle's nest around Emerald Cave area, and we see bald eagles are kind of scavengers. They will eat whatever they can get their hands on. Yeah. So they go into like the red-tailed hawk and the what's the other one called? I'll think of it in a second. But they go into these nests. A peregrine falcon. Peregrine falcon's the fastest animal in the world. They can reach 220 miles an hour on their nosedive, so you can hear them. It's almost like a sonic boom. And so when the bald eagles go into these nests, the peregrine falcons get pissed, and you can see them fighting in air. And the peregrine falcon's a much more agile and faster bird, but it's like, I don't know, a tenth the size of the bird of the eagle. So you'll see the eagle doing like barrel rolls and screeching.
So you're watching this?
Yeah, you watch it live right over your head.
From sitting in the middle of the water.
Yeah, sitting right on the river, and you're seeing the bald eagle and the peregrine falcon fighting, which is amazing.
How cool is that?
Bighorn sheep, they'll go through like their rut every year where they're hitting their heads or mating season. So
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing that. A lot of rattlesnakes, a lot of snakes, that kind of stuff.
Interesting. That's very cool.
Yeah, birds catching fish.
What Emerald Cave? What makes it so spectacular? What makes everybody go out there? What is it to you?
You might not like this answer as much as I hate Emerald Cave. It is absolutely gorgeous in the right time period. Emerald Cave has turned that river into a very busy area from all. That's why there's 24 companies
out there. Yeah,
yeah, it's gotten
when
crazy.
I went out with you, it was nice. It was isolated.
Yeah,
it was peaceful.
We went into the cave. It was
the
great.
fact you got to line up. It's like the Las Vegas sign now. You literally got to line up to get in there.
It
to get
is.
a photo.
Yeah. So every company and something that I've literally threatened to fire my marketing team for using pictures of Emerald Cave. It is gorgeous. It is turned into a Instagram sensation, a TikTok sensation. It is a 2-minute stop on our tour. We do not call our tours Emerald Cave Tour. It's not. It mentions that we go to Emerald Cave, and it says we go to Emerald Cave just like every other company. We spend a couple minutes in it. Please do not think that this is the main highlight of the tour.
Okay.
It is just one of many stops on the river. Most of the companies out there, especially the ones that are pushing on Groupon and Viator on these third party, they're using Emerald Cave as their like
the highlight,
catch grab.
Yeah,
and that's how they're getting people to book. It's Emerald Cave. Come visit Emerald Cave with us. And the river is much better. Emerald Cave is great. It is a great picture opportunity, but I've got 1,100 5-star reviews on TripAdvisor, 10 4-star, like 1, 3, 1, 2, and 3 1s, something like that. Very good ratings. Every time that I don't get a 5-star, 99% of the time it's because Emerald Cave's in there, saying that either I had to wait in line or that it wasn't spectacular like they expected it to be. Which is
out of your hands.
And it's out of my hands, but the problem is people are shopping around other companies and seeing that you're going on this tour to go to Emerald Cave, and then they end up booking us because they like our website the best or whatever may be the reason. We have the most availability. They're expecting the Emerald Cave being the main highlight of the tour when they come on ours, even though we have everywhere on our website. Like, there are times that we will skip Emerald Cave if the line's over 30 minutes. Our guides will, and this is the first year we started doing it, but we were sitting in line for sometimes upwards of an hour and a half on a 3-hour tour just to go into a cave for 3 minutes.
And it's pretty hard to sit still in the water too.
It is hot. And so to the people watching this, it is an amazing cave. It's cool to go to, but just being on the river is 99% better than the cave itself.
Okay.
So Emerald Cave is great.
Seeing the Hoover Dam from the water is amazing.
That is amazing.
It's really cool.
The first 4 miles of that full day tour from between the Hoover Dam and Arizona Hot Springs has so much slot canyons that you can go and explore. And we actually just started our rentals, and we talked a little bit about that earlier. So we've only done guided tours up until this year. I just bought a whole new fleet of boats, kind of wider, more recreational ones. Slower than our guided fleet, but much more stable. And the reason we did that is because we don't have a guide there with you to be able to get you back into the boat when you flip over.
Okay.
So our guided boats are top of the line touring kayaks that can cut through the water really well, but they do flip. And we probably have a flip every other day or so. And
you got someone that'll help.
Yeah, and you've got a guide that'll just get them back in. It's no problem.
Okay.
Someone like you will flip because you're top heavy, bigger guy, but females, they hold their weight. But our new fleet that we have they're a mix between a touring kayak and a recreational kayak.
Okay.
They're wider, almost impossible to flip, but they're going to be slower. The average person probably wouldn't know the difference. They're still expensive boats, nice boats. They're better than what most people take out as a recreation boat. But anyways, that's what we use for our unguided tour. And we're seeing a whole new clientele going on this. More people that we would never see on our guided tour.
Interesting.
A lot of people like you, a lot of foreigners, a lot of younger people that don't want to be told, what to do, where to go, and kind of explore on their own time. So if
How does it work?
We have to launch. You can only launch at the base of the dam through a company like ourselves.
But like when you rent your own kayak, are you starting from the Hoover Dam?
We have So
one of our Willows.
We have both. So we have one that starts at the base of the dam, and you have to go through a company to get launched there. So whether you're going on a guided tour or you have your own boat, you have to use an outfitter to launch from.
So you still got to be there at a certain time.
Yeah,
you got to book it, be there at a certain time.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's free for all until a certain time.
And so we started doing that. And
that's a great idea.
It is, yeah. In early August, there's always been companies doing it, and we just never wanted to really dabble in it and complicate the business more than we had to logistically.
Yeah.
And now that I've got so many people overseeing the smaller aspects of the business, it was time to diversify, because we were worried that the national park would start restricting how many boats we could take out. So we wanted different tours that we could spread out throughout the whole day.
You're kind of prepping, because potentially that could be huge.
It could be huge if they decide to say, okay, 20 boats a day. We would either have to shut down or sell 90% of our stuff to get down to that 20 boats a day kind of. That 20 boats a day is what I could have done year 1, not year 7 with all the money put into it. So and I don't know if they're going to do that, to be honest, but anyways, we wanted to diversify it. You never want all your eggs in one basket, like they say. So we wanted multiple different avenues with tours. We have the night tour, we have the morning tour, the Willow Beach one that we're talking about with Emerald Cave. It's our most popular tour, and it's amazing, but all the companies, like I said, are pushing that Emerald Cave. So there's 24 companies on this river now, and only like 3 of them are launching from the dam. So it's 21 companies down at Willow Beach.
It's got to be a shit fight.
Yeah, a little bit.
What happens what happens if someone does the 12 mile and they're exhausted, they tap out, they cramp, something goes wrong?
You can pay the rangers. We label this tour as difficult. When they book, they have to press a button saying that I'm athletically able to handle this tour. They're not going to die out there. They're going to be able to flag down a boat. We're trying to make them know that it's not okay to flag down a boat unless you're in a life or death situation. Like, being tired is not a life or death situation. So we try to do our best on our website to scare them into picking the easier tour.
Have you ever had a situation where it's just...
No, and we're going to have one sooner or later with the rentals. It's going to happen. We're not... because on our guided tour, we have people give up all the time, but the guide will strap a rope on.
So the guide will...
really? It sucks, but they do it.
You paddled my fat ass around when we were shooting, because I had to shoot, and I'm a heavy guy. So on guided tours, it's fine. I mean, the guides hate it, but they'll make more tips, true.
But on guided tour, like, if they just can't handle it, then they got to flag down a boat, and it looks bad if our boats are constantly getting brought back to the marina on motorized vehicles. So we do our best to instill in them that this is a difficult tour, that this should not be taken lightly. Once again, we're trying to scare them more than anything, because like, if you book the tour, I'd be like, okay, he'll be fine no matter what. He might be tired at the end of the day, he'll be fine. But sometimes people don't understand their athletic ability. Sometimes people just sign up for things because it's a better deal.
Paddling is such a different thing than
anything.
Is. You get to the gym what you want, and paddling's nothing like at the gym. Or running or anything else.
A lot of it's mindset too, though, because
huge, right?
Yeah, mindset's huge. Like, if you know that you're going to have somewhat of a challenging day, you'll be able to finish it.
And your arms aren't going to fall off.
No,
you may be sore for a week.
Yeah, you might complain. But anyone can do it. We're just trying to instill the mindset that you're not going to float down a river. You're not a lazy river. You will be paddling. There's most likely going to be a breeze in your face. That always happens out here. So it is athletically challenging. We haven't had someone give up yet. It's got to happen. We know it is.
Yeah, but you're also prepped for it too.
Yeah, we're ready for it. We just don't want the national park to continuously hear like, oh, they got saved again.
Okay.
But there are companies that do this for a lot longer than us. There's been companies that are doing these self-guided for. We're not the first to do this. So it's been tested for 20 years. People can handle it. We just know that every once in a while someone's going to sign up for something that they can't handle.
Gotcha. Just finally, where do you get your customers from? What are you doing to get your customers? What are you doing right? What are you doing wrong? What have you learned that works best for you? I see your Facebook ad all the time. Yeah. So obviously you're doing Facebook ads.
So something my dad instilled into me was try everything and keep what works.
Okay.
I think what a lot of companies do to get themselves in trouble is they get successful in one avenue and they concentrate on that avenue. And for example, when we first started, Groupon was the avenue we were on.
Yeah.
Year 2, we were doing very well on Expedia. There was, I don't know, 800 tours on Expedia or shows, tours, whatever it'd be on the activities page. And we were like number 2 or 4 because it was based off of reviews. And we had really good reviews. And so 60% of our company was coming in from Expedia. Year 3, they changed the algorithm on us, and it went from review-based to how much money Expedia was making off of you. And we dropped to like page 3, and our business,
Gotcha.
and we lost, like our revenue dropped in year 3 versus year 2, which you never want to see your revenue decline in a year. That's a very scary thing to go from with no excuse, like no recession, something like that. So
it wasn't the business doing anything wrong.
Yeah,
it was just,
the business did something wrong in the sense that we put too much. We were very comfortable with Expedia being 60% of our business. There's a lot of companies, my competition, that they're very busy because they're number 1 on, let's say, Airbnb. Like Airbnb's big right now for experiences.
Okay.
And they started from day 1. They've got 1 million reviews on there. 95% of their company comes from Airbnb bookings.
Okay.
All that takes for their company to be ruined is Airbnb shut down.
You see that on Shark Tank a lot. Yeah. You watch Shark Tank much?
I have in the past.
They always talk about like, hey, like 90% of your business is coming from sales in this one place.
Yeah.
That scares the crap out of the sharks, and you're kind of the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, and that, once again, that was instilled by my dad, who had way more experience in business than I ever have. But yeah, so to answer your question correctly, we have Viator, Expedia, Get Your Guide. Those are like third-party sellers. Get Your Guide's like a German company. We sell with helicopter companies like Papillon, 5-star helicopters. We have people that have like blogs that put promo codes out there, selling our tours.
Do you have influencers come in?
I haven't yet. No.
Okay.
I had.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So you haven't found it. You've even needed it. I know a lot of people use influencers.
Yeah, I haven't done it. I would be open to it. I did have the redheaded girl from Shameless want to come out one time. I forget what her name.
Yeah.
But that fell through. And then we do have a marketing team, and so we will, of course, want
the marketing team doing the social media,
ads. So they do SEO work, search engine optimization.
Like
they
Google,
do Google Plus ads, Facebook, Instagram ads, all that kind of stuff.
So you're just putting it everywhere.
Yeah. So obviously we would love to have 100% direct sales. A company's goal is to have the most direct sales as possible, but we have availability that we're not selling out daily.